They say love remembers, even when the world forgets. The first time Alira saw him, he was little more than a flicker of movement beneath the trees. Her people had warned her never to stray past the boundary stones, but grief is a strange companion. It makes you brave in foolish ways. She had gone searching for a place to cry where no one would hear her. Instead, she found him. He stood in the clearing, draped in shadows and gold-threaded leaves, his cloak shimmering like mist. He didn't speak. He only watched her with eyes like dusk, soft and deep and half-filled with sorrow. She should have been afraid, but fear did not bloom in her chest. Curiosity did, and something quieter, familiarity. Alira returned to the clearing the next evening with a lantern and a promise she didn't say aloud. "If you are real, come back." He did. Night after night, they met under the trees. He never crossed the stones, and she never asked him why. She learned to read his silence, how he tilted his head when amused, how he held his breath when her voice trembled with pain. Her words became offerings. Stories about her village, her brother who had passed the winter before, the dreams she no longer dared to dream. She told him everything. He listened like no one ever had. When she asked his name, he pressed a hand to his chest and whispered, "I've forgotten." "But you remember me?" she asked. A long silence, then a nod. She could have fallen in love with him easily. Perhaps she already had, but there was always the boundary, an invisible line etched with runes older than her bloodline. She had the strange sense that if she crossed it, something would unravel. One night, as autumn shivered into winter, he held her gaze for a long time before lifting his hand. A gesture of plea. Step across. She hesitated. The air pulsed as though the forest itself were holding its breath. "Who are you?" she asked. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. Instead, he took something from his cloak, a lantern just like hers. Its flame was dim but steady. She stared at it, her heart catching. "I had one like that. My brother made it for me before he died." He nodded, eyes shining now with unshed tears. Realization swept through her like a tide, not just familiar known. Alira's fingers trembled. Arn. His name floated into the space between them like a forgotten melody remembered too late. And then everything made sense. The way he had listened. The silence that felt like memory, the boundary that kept him from touching her. He was not alive. Not truly. Not anymore. Tears fell from her eyes, but she smiled through them. He waited. He nodded. The boundary began to glow, soft, golden, unraveling like thread in water. The forest stirred. Something ancient woke. Alira took a breath. "I don't want to lose you again." He looked at her with sorrow, but also peace. "You won't," he whispered, and for the first time she heard his voice faint, but unmistakably as light your lantern. "Keep it burning, I'll follow it home." Then, with a gust of wind and the hush of leaves, he faded into mist and memory. Alira stood alone in the clearing, holding the lantern close. She never crossed the boundary again. But every night, she lit her flame and told stories to the trees, knowing somewhere, in that quiet place where love lingers beyond death, Arn was listening.